Adequate notice of this meeting was provided and published in the Asbury Park Press on January 6, 2014. Copies of the agenda were provided to the newspapers posted on public bulletin boards in the Township website.
At this time, please turn off your cell phones, please. And roll call, please.
Councilman Moore.
Here.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Here.
Councilwoman Zapsik.
Here.
Councilman Mumolo.
Here.
Councilwoman Pontarero.
Here.
Vice President Fosman.
Here.
President Leidecker. Thank you.
Salute to the flag and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the
flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Approval of minutes of municipal officers.
I'll file those. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Approved minutes of August 12, 2014 meeting.
Make a motion.
Second.
Councilman Moore motioned and Councilwoman Fontanaro seconded. Roll call.
Councilman Moore.
Yes.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Yes.
Councilwoman Zapsik.
Yes.
Councilman Mumolo.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontarero.
Yes.
Vice President Fosman.
Yes.
Thank you.
We have a presentation this evening, a cert graduation. Could Joe and Deputy Chief Mr. Riccio come up? Mayor.
Good evening. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Jim Riccio. I'm the Deputy Chief of Police. And my purpose for being here tonight is to recognize the accomplishments of two of our citizens, Ryan Griffin and Amy Fortuna. What these two citizens did was recently graduated our training program for the Community Emergency Response Team, otherwise known as CERT. For those of you that aren't familiar with it, it was originated in 1985 by the Los Angeles Fire Department. And they, with all their disasters that they experienced, they realized the need to train their citizens so in the time of a disaster, the citizens can help themselves and help their community, their neighbors, before first responders can get there. Our team was started in 2009 and it was originally comprised of 15 members. Since then, the team has grown to 45 members, with our two newest members recently graduating. The training program isn't easy. It takes approximately 9 weeks of training. And the team, I can tell you, was a great resource in the weeks following Superstorm Sandy. Because of the team, we were able to free up a lot of our officers that might have otherwise been stuck at stationary positions. But the team was a great help in our evacuation locations and some stationary traffic posts. They've also since, not only in disaster, but they've been a big help with things like Summerfest, and special events around the town. Most notably, the members of this team are not paid. All their time is volunteer. We're fortunate in Brick, I'm sure as most of you know, to have a community that is very strong in volunteerism with our volunteer EMS, fire departments, and now the CERT team. So on behalf of Chief Berquist, who couldn't be here tonight, he's out of state, I would like to congratulate Ryan and Amy for their accomplishments.
Take a moment and thank the mayor, the council, this administration for the opportunity to be able to serve this community. It was never more prevalent or obvious in the aftermath of Superstorm Sandy, the need for us to have people trained, ready, and capable to step up and assist in the things that needed to be done. The resources were exhausted right away, as we all know, and there weren't a tremendous amount of people that were present and able to fill roles that needed to be in a subordinate position. So with that, I'm grateful to have this opportunity. It was a great training. It took the entire summer for us to achieve it, but it certainly was one worth taking. I learned a lot, and I look forward to serving the community.
Congratulations again to Amy and Ryan We have a certificate of accommodation from the council and the mayor for Amy, this award to Amy Fortuna in honor of successful completion of the required training for the Brick Township Community Emergency Response Team. Also, Ryan, a certificate also from the mayor and the council for your completion. Thank you. Consent agenda. We're going to pull off the consent agenda 4.3 and 4.8. Paperwork is incomplete on those two. Anybody else would like to pull anything off before we start? No? Okay, thank you. All matters listed under consent agenda will be enacted by one motion in the form listed below. This decision is desired at any time. This item will be removed from the consent agenda, be considered separately. Resolutions 4.1, authorize memorandum for understanding Homeland Security grant with the County of Ocean. The County of Ocean has created and established a program to assist local government by sharing of services and state aid in the form of grants. And the Ocean County Sheriff's Department has been a forerunner in the implementation of the State Homeland Security Grant FY13, which is a federally funded program and is mandated by the state of New Jersey. And the Township of Brick wishes to enter into a memorandum of understanding with the Ocean County for the purposes of enhancing the township's ability to prevent, detect, deter, respond, and recover from threats and acts of terrorism. 4.2, authorize Chapter 159 Bulletproof Vest Partnership Grant. These are 4 grants that we're accepting tonight, starting with 4.2A. 4.2A is the Bulletproof Vest Grant. It is $36,331.21. 4.2B, Emergency Management Grant. This grant is $5,000 and is available in revenue from the New Jersey State Police. 4.2C, Homeland Security Grant. This grant is $8,475. And this grant is, will be inserted into revenue for the budget of 2014. 4.2D, Emergency Management Pass-Through Grant. This pass-through grant is $12,376.80. 4.4, authorize addition of architectural pool. We're adding another person to the pool. That's RBA Architects, 7 Campus Drive, Parsippany, New Jersey. We have several in the pool. We're just adding one more. Four, 5, authorize award of bid roadway improvements to the Woodland Valley. There were 10 bids received, and that bid for the roadway improvements to Woodland Valley is hereby awarded to MECO, Inc., P.O. Box 156, Clarksburg, New Jersey, in the amount of $762,954.95. The roads that are going to be repaired are Hill Drive, Amber Marley Road, Matasquan Court, and Winding River. 4.6, authorize Board of Rebid Oktoberfest amusement concessions. The Director of Recreation has found that the Seashore Family and Fun Center, 11 Hendry Lane, Brick, for amusements as the only responsive and responsible bidder in full compliance with the respective category, per the bid specifications, and therefore recommended for award. The Oktoberfest amusement vendor is hereby awarded Seashore Family Shore Center, 11 Hendry Lane, with the bid of $500 for the supply, setup, and operation and removal of rides and amusements. There is another one there for the ATM machine that the bidder and operate an automatic teller machine is hereby awarded to Jersey Shore ATM LLC, 1115 Church Street, Manasquan, with a bid of $25. So we're going to have an ATM machine there. 4.7, authorize change order number 1, final, against public safety e-ticketing software. The business administrator has recommended that change order number 1 final be authorized and that the contract issued to New World Systems Corp. Be decreased by $15,496 and the contract be decreased from $249,486 to $233,990. For 9, authorize disposal of surplus personal property. The Director of Public Works has 2 buses and 22 dumpsters. This will all go for scrap. The 2 buses, they were used for rescue practice. So they cut the buses up as they were doing their practice for the rescue. So we're going to surplus that and scrap that. And the dumpsters, they were put up for sale, but nobody wants the dumpsters, and we're going to scrap those extra dumpsters. They're not new, they're old, and that's what we're going to do with that. Uh, 410, if I ask the mayor to explain 410.
Sure, thank you, Council Vice President. As we all know, New Jersey works with the Army Corps of Engineers as far as various projects around the state in order to help with our flooding and our waterways. But we have to have them do more. We have to develop a more comprehensive plan that includes our inland waterways that increasingly flood more and more our communities over and over again, including all the Back Bay communities. And right now, there's only a $25 million allocation to the Shore Protection Fund, and it's insufficient to meet the current needs as well as the anticipated future needs. And we need that money in order to match the cost of the Army Corps of Engineers so that needed coastal protection projects can go forward. So basically, I'm asking the council to pass this resolution to call on our elected officials to increase the funding from $25 million to more, so that our matching funds with the Army Corps of Engineers federal funds can get more of these coastal protection projects to help not only our barrier island, but our back bays, all of our lagoons, and our rivers here in Brick. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. 411, authorize special event permit, River Rock relaxation. The River Rock Grill requested for special event application to conduct beach relaxation Thursday through Sunday between the hours of 11 a.m. and 2 a.m. from September 1st to September 30th, 2014, with conditions and restrictions. And one of the restrictions is the outdoor music will end at 10 p.m., and that's what our ordinance calls for, 10 p.m.
Council Vice President?
Yes.
I have a real quick question for the business administrator on this. We've been doing this for a couple months now. They have been complying with all the CAFRA and the permitting and all that, because I know they have redone their parking lot, it seems. So, and do you know how much more work that they're going to be doing?
They're going to continue to make progress working on the completion of the work required as part of their CAFRA permit, and have been working regularly with our building department to make sure everything meets code and meets the CAFRA permit. So we're satisfied with their progress.
Thank you.
Thank you. 412, bond release reduction, inspection fund release, North Bay Builders, Drum Point Road. The township engineer has advised that all of the required improvements have been completed and are acceptable, and the township engineer recommends that $1,374.23 remaining in the engineering inspection fund be returned to the applicant. 413, authorized general obligation bond series 2014A. I'd like to ask Joan, the business administrator, to explain this.
Thank you, Council Vice President. If it's all right, I'll address both resolutions at the same time.
Okay, thank you.
The first resolution, 2014A, authorizes the combination of the township's bond ordinances with different terms, whether it be 5, 7, 10, or 15 years of life into one bond issue. The second resolution, 2014B, issues $10 million in general obligation bonds that are tax exempt because it's the township's debt, and $23 million for the landfill solar redevelopment project, which is taxable. This authorizes the sale of the bonds. As you know, the township serves as a financial conduit with the solar redeveloper, Standard Alternatives BRIC. By doing so, we receive a 1% note origination fee based on the amounts of the notes issued each time Standard Alternatives BRIC renews the notes. Every time Standard Alternatives rolls the notes over, we get an additional 1%. To date, that equates to about $1 million in revenue. With this sale, the township will receive an additional $1.2 million. Even though it's our general obligation, the note bond issue is backed by a legally binding guaranteed agreement. Standard Alternatives BRIC's financial backer is guaranteeing repayment of the principal and interest payments. Standard Alternatives BRIC is responsible for the debt service payment, all of the interest on the rollovers, and pays all principal and interest when the bonds are permanently issued.
Thank you. Thank you for the explanation. I'd like to ask the clerk for Resolution 412A. There's a little mistake on number 1 here. The price is different than what it is on the top of the resolution. The 23 cents, it's listed as 12 cents here.
Okay, I'll fix that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, call for a motion and a second on the consent agenda.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman Pontanero, and seconded by Paul Momolo. Open the public for questions on the resolution. Ms. Finelli?
Dick Finelli, Meadow Point Drive.
It's cold in here, though.
Yeah. You took one question off, you answered one, so I'm down to one. How many vests does $36,331 buy? Anybody have any idea?
Usually, I believe it's $1,000 a vest.
$1,000 a vest?
Approximately.
Close. you know,
Deputy
so
Chief
that's-
Riccio's here, maybe he can explain. Chief?
They are about that much, but it also buys the Kevlar equipment for our SWAT teams. It's not just limited to vests.
Okay, how often does vests get
Every
replaced?
5 years they have.
Every 5 years? Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Chief.
Chief.
Anybody else? I'd like to close, Mr. Finelli, Mr. Scott, George Scott.
I almost didn't recognize you.
You're right back.
Why, normally doesn't come with pants?
Yeah.
Couple of questions on Resolution 4-1. It says equipment, $8,475. That's pretty vague. What kind of equipment for $8,475? Attachment A.
Which one's he at?
He's on 4-1.
Oh, here it is. It says,
Yes.
It is. It's various, equipment types are various. They give, the county does a prorated portion amount that they reimburse us for equipment that we buy throughout the year. So there's a various, we buy things,
I mean,
they,
it's a very specific amount, 8,475. You would think we would know what equipment that was going to be bought for that specific amount of money. And we're entering into the budget as a revenue for that same amount.
correct, because that's what the county formula that they have for this grant, how much each town would get. We
Okay.
end up giving them receipts and proof of payment after we buy things, and they will reimburse us up to $8,475.
So specific equipment isn't designated as of yet. It's just the amount that's designated. Correct. Is what you're
Generally
saying.
for things that we would be buying as part of our public safety initiative, so this just helps offset some of that cost.
Okay.
Excuse-
42D.
Does say not to exceed too, that particular number.
42D, the 12,376. You know, I'm always happy when we get grants and people are giving us money. That pleases me all the time. Just a little confused where it says the emergency management section 2014, but it came out of fiscal year 2010 as a pass-through. Was that our fiscal year, or was that the state police fiscal year where they took this money from? I was a little confused about that. This is, no,
$12,376.
$0.80.
Caption offset by the revenues 2014.
Okay. So they're just coming around to finding money that they had left over from 2010.
We'll take it.
I just hope they find some in 11, 12, and 13. Strange. 4-4. Authorize addition to architectural pool. Council President.
Yes.
How many of you really looked at this carefully? First of all, we have people in the pool already from brick at lower rates. I looked at this bid. Number one, I'm a little puzzled. A while back when we had a bid regarding 2 auto vendors, and one was thrown out for a technicality because he forgot to put something in. I said, how come we couldn't call them? Council said, we don't do that, it would ruin the bid. The professional engineer that looked at this called this company. He said there were some irregularities which were straightened out, which was said before we couldn't do that. And he then states that in this bid, we should hold on to the security for numbers 2 and 3. If you look at it, 2 and 3 would cost us an extra $100,000 in one situation, an extra 100 and some thousand in another. Why give this to somebody from Parsippany, New Jersey, who's charging more money, and if it doesn't work out, you're gonna keep 2 and 3, which are almost 100 grand more? I just like to have the understanding to that question, why you would even think about doing that.
Mr. Council President?
Yes.
If I may, I'm not sure if we're looking at the same thing, but Resolution 4-4 appoints an additional firm to the architectural pool. Is that what you're referring to?
Which is this RBA Architects,
Yes.
correct?
Yeah, but this doesn't cost the township any money by making this appointment. The architectural pool is a pool of architectural firms that have submitted proposals to be allowed to be in the township's designated pool of architects. And the way this would work is in the event there's a specific project that requires architectural services, the township could then go and use one of these firms. What we're doing is just adding an additional option for the township. And obviously, if the cost is higher for any firm for a particular project, that would certainly be a compelling factor, but this is not assigning them for a particular project.
You're right, that particular case. The other numbers that I thought about were for another resolution on here.
Okay.
But again, so whatever project comes up, we're not obligated to use the one of the highest bid. We could use any one of the 4 that are in the pool. Is that correct?
That's correct. Sort of a pre-authorization for them to be in the pool. They do not have to be used, and there's no guarantee that they will be used.
Okay. The figure that I was talking about was actually 4-5 with the roadway improvements. The roadway improvements given them to MECO, which came up with $762,954.
Yes.
The first thing that made me laugh at this was, I guess our chief financial officer had to find the money. He found a penny from an ordinance from 3-07. I mean, that must have cost some money just to find the penny. In any event, MECO, looking at this bid, this was, the engineer's estimate was for one number, and the bid came in, I believe, $41,402 higher than the engineer expected it to be to start off with. Usually, the engineer estimates are high and the bidders come in lower. In this particular case, it did not. In addition to which, the recommendation from the engineer then says, if in fact these irregularities aren't straightened out, or that the township council, looks over the contract and so forth, that you keep the bid and bid security of the second and third lowest bidders. However, if you did give it to those, bidder number 2 is $93,558 more, and bidder number 3 is $136,000. Now you got $136,000 plus his $41,000. You've spent $176,000 more than your engineer said you should spend. Why would you even do this and just reject the bid? That's my question.
If I may, Council Vice President,
I don't see why.
I think I followed your question. First of all, the engineer's estimate is just that, it's an estimate. And it can be higher, it can be lower, there's no magic to that estimate. On this,
But with my experience, and I'm at almost all the meetings and look at all of these, it's always higher. I mean, 90% of the time.
I've seen it higher, I've seen it lower, but I think the compelling thing here is we received on this project bids from 10 different contractors. So I think you probably get a sense of what the numbers are. In other words, it's a highly competitive bid on this one. And you addressed minor irregularities. The irregularities were a difference in that particular bid between the base bid unit and the prices for deletion items. That, to me, that's an arithmetic error, and it does not affect the competitive basis of this process, which is what you really want when you have a bidding. You want to make sure everybody's on an even playing field and everybody bids on the same things, and nobody gets an unfair advantage by doing something funky with their bid. And a math error, minor math error like that, to me, doesn't affect the competitiveness of the bid. And I think when we've got 10 proposals here, you got a pretty good sense you've got some good competition out there. So I think that the Township Council is really well served by considering those 10 and awarding it to the lowest bid, even though I agree with you, it's higher than the engineer's estimate. And that could be for a whole variety of reasons why it's higher. I agree with you. Usually it's not, but sometimes it is. It's just that's why it's called an estimate.
Mr. Inman, if it's a minor mistake, I'll tend to agree with you as far as the math part of it goes. But what bothers me as a taxpayer, I don't want to see it to go to number 3, which he says, hold that money, in case it doesn't go there, and it's going to cost you $136,000 more than number 1.
Oh, I see. No, I see what you're saying. What the engineer is saying is hold the bid bonds for the second and third lowest bidder until all contracts are completed with the low bidder. The reason for that is there's 10 bids here. He's saying that the bottom 7 release the bid bonds, let them go. We're not going to contract with them.
Correct.
We're going to award it to the low bidder. If for some reason there's a problem with the low bidder, we can't get a contract signed up.
Right.
We retain their bid bond. That's what it's there for, to secure their obligation to sign a contract with the township. We retain their bid bond, and then we'd look to the second and third low bidder. We want to hold their bids to be binding. It doesn't mean we have to accept them. It means that they submitted bids. We're going to hold them to it so that in the event it doesn't work out with the low one, we have the option, we do, the township, to go to the second or third, or not to. So it's really something to protect the township in this bidding process.
So how do we exercise the not to portion? I don't want to see us spending an extra $136,000 over the lowest bidder.
What's in front of the Township Council tonight is a proposal to award the contract to the lowest bidder. That's it. We're not going to award to the second low bidder or the third low bidder, which would cost more.
A lot more.
In the event there's a problem with the low bidder, and it's very rare there's a problem, but in the event there is, then we'd be back in front of the council saying, do you want to accept the second low bid, because we had a problem with the low one, Or do you want to throw them out and start over, or not do the project, or take some other course of action? But it's not going to go to the second or third low bidder under the resolution that's in front of the Township Council tonight.
Okay, I hope not. And my last question, as far as the resolution was concerned, was for the bonding, and the business administrator eloquently put it. However, in the number that's included in the 10 million, again, we get these petty, in my opinion, amounts in reaction to our entire budget, like $26,095 acquisition of various equipment and related expenses of 10 years. This looks like it went back to 2012. They can't exceed an 8.71-year life expectancy. But why are we including, and again, we briefly had this conversation where I know you're gonna look forward to changes later on, but it gives you the opportunity now to not be paying for these things for over the next 10 years for petty little expenses. It makes no sense. It makes no financial sense, to be honest with you. 26,000 for that, 109,000 for something that should be in a department's budget.
Your comments are well taken, but the bond sale is something the CFO is recommending is in our best interest to roll all the debt, because at the level that we have to go out with the solar, when you combine the two, we stand to benefit in terms of the term and the interest rate. So our CFO is recommending, was in fact, his suggestion that we.
That's on the 23 million part, but on the 10 million part.
On the 10 million part, our part.
Right.
It was our CFO's recommendation to lump that in with the solar project, because we would get the benefits of the best pricing going out with the higher level of debt.
Those are my questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Public? Roll call, please.
Councilman Moore.
Yes.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Yes.
Councilwoman Zapsik.
Yes.
Councilman Mumalo.
Yes.
Councilwoman Ponterero.
Yes.
Vice President Fosman.
Yes.
Thank you.
That ends consent agenda. Bill Resolution Computer 2014.
Be it resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Brick that the following bills be paid, and that the mayor and clerk be and are hereby authorized to draw orders on the treasurer for the amounts of the same. Computer bill resolution in the amount of $1,482,417.79.
Call for a motion and a second.
Motion.
Second.
Councilwoman Pontanero, motion, and seconded by Councilwoman DeYoung. Open to the public?
I have a couple questions.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry. Just a couple of really quick questions for the business administrator. Arcadis, of course, last one, fantastic. We have on here bills from 2011 and 2012 for two engineering firms. They are from work that has been ongoing and in the stages of completion, and they're no longer going to be as soon as they're all done and the projects are done, correct?
Yes, when the project is completed and the purchase order that was tied to the contract is depleted, that work ends.
Awesome. And for the Visitation Relief Center, the Robin Hood grant, that is for reimbursements for homes that they've been working on?
It's specifically for property owners in Brick that have applied for assistance through the Visitation Relief Center, which, as you know, has significant criteria that it must meet with each applicant, that follows federal guidelines and is approved by the funder. The funder does come in and audit and make sure that all of those documents are in order, and that the folks that are receiving this money have provided the proper documentation. And the most recent audit was in March, and everything was satisfactory, so they are meeting all the conditions of the grant. They're helping people at the same time. They are usually listed out by person on our computer resolution. However, there were so many of them for varying amounts that we just lumped it into the one. But there is backup to that. If anybody would like to see that, please let me know.
Those are all my questions. Thank you.
Anybody else?
President, question.
Councilman Mamolo?
I have a question for our business administrator. We had a cleanup at Windward Beach that was due to the contractor doing a, break in the sewer line. That's gonna be charged back to the contractor.
We'll deduct the amount. We opted to make sure that it was cleaned professionally. The restrooms were cleaned professionally after the incident, being that that was the best thing to do for public safety and to make sure that they were cleaned appropriately. We will deduct that amount from the contractor's payment due for the work.
Great, thank you. That's it, Council President.
Anybody else? Open to the public? Closed public? Roll call, please.
Councilman Moore.
Yes.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Yes.
Councilwoman Zapsik.
Abstain on New Jersey Press Media, and yes to the rest.
Councilman Mumalo.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontarero.
Yes.
Vice President Fosman.
Abstain on the MUA and yes to the rest. Bill Resolution Manual 2014.
Be it resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Brick that the following bills be paid and that the mayor and clerk be and are hereby authorized to draw orders on the treasurer for the amounts of the same. Manual bill resolution in the amount of $1,513,621.20.
Thank you. A motion and a second, please.
Motion.
Second.
Councilwoman Pontanero and Councilman Mumalo seconded. Open to the council? Any questions? No. Open to the public? Closed public? Roll call, please.
Councilman Moore.
Abstain Township payroll, and yes to the rest.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Yes.
Councilwoman Zapsik.
Yes.
Councilman Mumalo.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontarero.
Yes.
Vice President Fosman.
Yes.
Thank you.
It's time for public comments. Please note that each person addressing council during any session of this meeting during which public comment is permitted shall limit his or her remarks to 5 minutes pursuant to the Township Administrative Code Section 2-33B. Anybody from the public? Mr. Sluka?
Thank you. John Sluka, 950 Sylvia Court. My letter. Mayor John Ducey, Council President Susan Lydecker, all the council members of Brick Township. I and a few others have attended the New Jersey Turnpike Authority Commission meeting on August 21st in their headquarters. In attendance were many department heads, including Executive Director Morozak. In the 3 minutes that they allow you to speak, I mentioned how the ongoing construction in Brick area was causing a hardship on many citizens, but I also conveyed how the Turnpike Authority, including the commissioners, officials, and other Turnpike representatives, were only hiding the real problem. I told them how the IARC, National Toxicology Program, the EPA, and the American Cancer Society all classify diesel exhaust as carcinogenic to humans, and the authority officials are basically killing Brick residents. I told them that the air pollution from diesel exhaust plays a role in health problems such as eye irritation, headaches, asthma, and other lung disease, as well as heart disease and immune system problems. The acting chairman, Gravino, seemed anxious as we spoke and happy to get us over with, but the newest member, Director John Manelli, at least seemed to show some interest. Mr. Manelli, who is the director of the Hudson County Democratic Organization, questioned what this was about and if there was an answer for the residents. After public comment section, they closed it, and then Director Mirzak, the NJTA Executive Director, gave almost the same canned answer we've been hearing for a year. He didn't address the health issue, but rather stated the parkways, travel lanes of the roadway were no closer to the houses in Evergreen Woods than before. He did mention that the exit lanes and shoulders were done for safety of the drivers and does not count as travel lanes under the NJTA rules. The development, so therefore the development does not qualify for a wall. In my comments, I addressed how trucks were not allowed on the parkway above 105, but were allowed to dump diesel exhaust on the residents of southern Monmouth County, Ocean County, and Atlantic County. But Executive Mirzak did not address this situation nor offer any solace. We were told that Mayor Ducey, a while back, had sent a letter to the Turnpike Authority telling them to mitigate the situation in some manner, but it seems that Mr. Mirzak nor any of his representatives were willing to address the problem. I would like to suggest the mayor's office should forward that original letter to Mr. Manelli, because at least he showed some concern, and a copy of Mr. Gravino as well as the acting chairman of the commission. These people are the overseers of what the NJTA does, and like any board of directors, will be held financially and criminally responsible for their actions or inactions when it proved that the Brick residents have been physically harmed by the toxins of the commission, because the commission allows them to cast the toxins over the residents. One more note from that meeting that should be considered, and that is that the Hillside, New Jersey community had had problems with trucks on an access road to the parkway up North Jersey, so their area of the state. And two of the residents and a councilwoman from the town pleaded their case. It was stated the director or assistant director would meet with them to talk about discussing their situation. It was also mentioned how the Turnpike Authority had directed the state police to monitor their problem as well. I understand that the residents had complained about the trucks on the exit road, but it seems that the presence of the councilwoman and her presentation brought it to further light. She was allowed to speak well beyond the 3 minutes that the others were allowed, giving me the impression that little heed is paid to the tax-paying residents as opposed to town or county officials such as a mayor or council person. With that in mind, I suggest that not only residents attend the NJTA meeting on September 23rd, but a Brick Township official attend and speak as well. Since the meeting are in the morning in Woodbridge, I don't anticipate that I can attend again until next summer, and by then, who knows what toxins will attack the lungs of our children in Brick Township. Thank you for your continued support, is what my letter said. I also want to mention last night around 12:30, houses shook in Evergreen Woods again because construction or something was being done down near past the exit, about 93.5. Lights were blasting at 12:30 in the morning. You could see them from the whole neighborhood. The houses shook. Noise was made. I don't know what they were doing. They always do things in the middle of the night, and this is, I mean, I know my grandson was woke up, and of course, he's old. He could handle it. He's a year and a week old, you know, so unfortunately, he lost his sleep, too. It's not just sleep. It's the toxins. School starts in a week and a half, and those kids got to breathe that stuff. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sluka.
Good evening, everyone. Michelle from Evergreen Woods. How are you doing? I also went to the Turnpike meeting. It was very enlightening. I've never seen so many self-serving people in one place in my life, but you know, you already know that. I asked them a few questions. First, I told them that we already lost significant value in our homes, and I said that the noises between a jackhammer and a subway car, decibel level-wise. And I asked them what they would do if their own children woke up in the middle of the night, every night, and couldn't go back to sleep. What if they lost 20% off the value of their homes? What if their young children developed asthma? And what if they had to worry about a truck crashing into the streets, into your home, into your backyard, which actually happened in Hillside, and that's why that councilwoman was there. I put holes in their misnomer that it was a safety program, and I explained the center median, that the noise has doubled, and that the new pavement is not allowed by the Federal Highway Authority as mitigation. And there was actually a prior commissioner sitting next to me, and she goes, well, where did you hear that? And I pointed to the bottom of the page. I think they're clueless. Anything having to do with anything outside their own little rules and regulations, they have no idea. I told them that, I reminded them that they hadn't commented on the sound study that the Ocean County Health Department did, and they still didn't comment on it. And I said that a wall had already been planned earlier, and so really they just would have to extend it for us, and that some kind of cost sharing to finance the wall would be acceptable using the money from the no net loss, which we can't get trees from anyway. And the only thing that happened was at the end, as John Sluka said, was that they said the same thing they always say, that, you know, we're not adding volume, we're not adding in lane, you know, the usual spiel. I agree with Mr. Sluka that Minnelli seemed to at least, you know, want to get the facts about what was going on, so I think he might be someone to you know, to have communication with. And but it seemed like everybody else, didn't really care. One of the commissioners said that we're not going to, that we're doing the best we can within our parameters. So they're very closed-minded people. So I was wondering if we could have some kind of committee, which we would be happy to help with, to work on this, to get something done here. Maybe between everybody, we can kind of come up with something, some ideas to get them to do what they should do, including telling them that they signed a contract, Chapter 79, when they took over the Highway Authority, to provide for the health and well-being of, it's actually in there, of the citizens of the state of New Jersey, and to be tax exempt. So maybe they should start paying taxes. I mean, their tax exempt status was based on that. So, I mean, we gladly help you with whatever we can. That's all I have to say.
We can, I could talk to the council and the mayor afterwards at other committee meetings and see what can come up with.
Okay, appreciate
Okay?
it. Thanks for all your help.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Thanks, Michelle.
Would anybody else from the public like to speak? Mr. Finelli?
Just a little information sharing. This article was in the newspaper, Asbury Park Press, Sunday, the 18th of August. Anybody read it? It's labeled, "Why are my taxes so high?" Nobody read this?
I did.
Of course. My goodness.
I did.
You did?
You read it.
Okay. You did? What'd you think?
I'm not commenting, thank you.
Okay. Then I will. All right. It breaks it down into every way possible. Right? Now, I don't know if all the statistics are 100% accurate, but I'll assume most of them are close. All right. And I'll just read a couple of things to pique your interest, and then you can go find it on your computer and read the whole thing. It ranks us in a whole bunch of categories. Some of them you already know. Property taxes, first highest in the country. State public worker salaries, first highest in the country. Police salaries, first highest in the country. And I'll read some footnotes. Only one other state, California, had a mean average of over 74,000.
Mr. Finelli, can we be clear that they're talking about the entire state of New Jersey, not Brick?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
I just, because some people didn't read it, maybe didn't
No,
understand
no.
that. Okay,
In fact, nothing in here refers to Brick. Everything is in the state.
the state.
Okay? Of course, you can look and see what our mean salaries are if you want to. But the average salaries for New Jersey were 88,000, so that's like 12,000 over. State and local tax burden, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It goes on, and we are in the top 10% in almost every category, which is why we pay so much in taxes. A couple other things, that's not just state government, by the way. I think everybody that either approves taxpayer money or actually spends taxpayer money should read this article to understand where it all goes. A couple other quick statistics, and then I'll sit down. Fully 48% of the revenue collected at the state and local level in New Jersey comes from property taxes. 48%. No other state in the country is higher than 41%, and the national average is 33%. So we're full 11, 12% higher than everybody else. Some of that has to do with some of our other favorite topics, which I talk about at other meetings. New Jersey is third in the cost per student education at $15,968 per student. That is $6,000 higher than the national average. So anyway, it's a good article. Everybody should read it. There also was another article that I have back there that I forgot to bring up in the same paper, and that's titled, "Why the 2% tax cap is really not 2%. And it lists all the things that are excluded in the 2% tax cap. Why am I bringing this up? Very simply, every time I ask a question, either here or somebody else, it's usually, well, it's in the contract. It's in the contract. I don't expect this to be fixed in my lifetime. And I don't think you people can fix even half the problems. But when we start negotiating contracts and you start looking at all of these things, somebody has to start the ball rolling. Somebody has to say, we can't really afford this. I mean, besides the governor saying it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Finelli.
18th of August, this is Sunday paper.
Thank you, Mr. Lamb.
Mr. Lamb?
Joe Lamb, 386 Wisteria Drive. You know, his articles in the Asbury Park Press about taxes through the years, they drive me crazy because they leave so much out. Give you some, for examples. They never brought up the fact about sales taxes, and when they did a couple of years back, they said New Jersey was one of the highest because they classify the state average of the 7%. You got New York over there at 8.25%, but they only think of it as 4% because that's the state sales taxes, other county tax, municipal taxes, and everything else. Same thing with Texas. Texas, every single town is a separate tax jurisdiction on sales tax, so it runs the gamut over there. Ohio has 100 counties. It's the same thing in California. You're paying sales taxes of 8.25%, 8.5%. And it's been going on that long before New Jersey ever hit 7%. You've got other taxes going on. The educational system, as the fellow just pointed out, we were third highest in the nation. But the fact of the matter is that New Jersey education is ranked #1 in the nation. If when they had those international tests and we're looking at how the United States stacked up, and they said that we were 23rd internationally, if New Jersey was a separate state, a separate country, for 8th grade math and science, which is what we're supposed to be weak in, New Jersey would have been ranked 6th in the world. You know, if you want a good education, sometimes you're gonna have to pay for it. That's where our property taxes come into play in New Jersey, because for the most part, you live in a town and you pay for your educational system. The state does help, but in a lot of these states, it's more centralized. It comes from the state government, and their educational system is nowhere near what New Jersey is. You know, and they keep on pounding the teachers and the educational system in New Jersey. They should be focusing on, New Jersey's one of those states that's carrying the nation. They should be focusing on those other states that are not, that are doing very poorly. And not, you know, and I don't have anybody in the educational system. I got 13 brothers and sisters. None of them are in education, and I don't have any relatives who are in education. So I'm just saying this because I grew up, and in my family, education was very important. But, you know, like I said, you got to take these things with a grain of salt. It's somebody putting things together, and it appeals to sensationalism. And people go off half-cocked and not know the complete story. But they really should talk to about somebody that's in finance and get a better idea of what's going on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Would anybody else from the public? There goes my 8 o'clock.
Two quick questions. I just have a question about the Garden State Parkway, where they opened up getting on off Shore Rock to go north.
Okay.
Wasn't there before. Very convenient. They have the roadway finished to exit if you're coming north at that same site. Do you have any idea when that's going to be open, or what the status of that is, or does the administration know?
I don't know. Is that Mayor?
Yeah, I've gotten this question a couple times because that's in Lakewood. We don't get the updates on this exit here and the one up at Burn Tavern because they're brick. But I know it's going to be open all 4 ways at that intersection when the project is done. But it's probably, that one's going to be done in 2015 as opposed to us here in brick, which is going to be longer.
Okay. My other question for the record is, where are we with the status of how many houses we're going to demolish with the state program through the building department downstairs? Is that number fixed? Is that list set? Are there any changes? Where are we with that?
Business Administrator.
Thank you. I had sent you an email, kind of went over the whole process with the state. The mayor and I and several staff members met with folks from the DCA who told us about this demolition program and their strategy for that, which is that they have a list that came from the township, which is by observation either from council folks, employees, phone calls from residents saying, I believe this house is abandoned and needs to be demolished. We go out and do an inspection. Is it safe? Is it not safe? And we give all that data to the state. The state obviously only has a finite amount of money to provide to towns doing this project, but our intention is to maximize the number of homes that they will do in brick. But the number that we would like for them to do versus the money that they have, there's quite a big gap, so they've come up with an internal strategy that they are implementing with their funds, which is to look at doing these in zones, and also they have a criteria of if this house is in another program, is it receiving money from some other program to be demolished, so they have a set site of
rental, it got eliminated.
criteria. Also looking at strategic zones. How we left it with them at the time of that meeting is that they were going to go out and do their inspections, which is part of their requirement. Our inspections were not quite enough. They wanted to look at each property. Dan Newman gave us an update yesterday that they have done that. They only came back to us with assistance of trouble locating 2 of those properties. We are waiting for word back from them for confirmation of the properties in brick that they will be demolishing as part of this program. But we don't expect that to take much longer.
Okay.
We gave them a list of a couple hundred. They narrowed it down to about 100 that they went out to the state
Right.
physically inspect it. And then that number could go down further from there depending on what they find, because they're going to every single individual address.
Right.
And the reason why they're doing clusters is because they have a limited amount of money. So what they're doing is it's almost like by street or by cluster, they're going out to contract. So it's not like a contractor's coming in and knock down one house. It's basically, please bid on these 6 houses that are on the same block so they get a better price so they can do more all around the state.
Okay. The email that I did get from the business administrator, and it said basically that they were picked by clusters, that the state did the picking, and then going to Mayor's Night Out and talking to Mr. Newman, he led me to believe that we didn't have much of an input, that it was them that had the input. And I said, well, how were the houses actually picked? But now Joanna's just saying it was suggestions of the council, suggestions here, phone calls. I didn't get that answer before. I'm hearing that now, but nobody said that before. And that was one of my questions. Why wasn't it input, and who actually picked the houses?
Well, lists have to come from somewhere. So the list is generated generally through our code department, who is the first line of defense when a neighbor calls, when a council person calls me and says, there's a property on my street, or I got a call from a constituent about a property on their street. Where does that call go? Down to our construction code office, where a code official goes out and does an inspection and has to come back and tell us, is it indeed something that looks to be abandoned? Is it safe? Is there structural concerns? So
And that's the answer I got before. So
correct.
Again, I'm a little confused then. That's the answer from before, that it was downstairs. Prior to that, you were saying it was input from here,
Right.
calls.
Which goes downstairs. So our code department is the resource, is the place that all of these complaints go to. So we don't have several different employees or several different departments maintaining lists. We have a keeper of the list, which is our construction code department. That is who the DCA is working with directly to look at these houses and confirm that they're abandoned and in need of being demolished for our public safety.
Okay, thank you.
Like still to this day, my office gets about 3 or 4 a week about saying, hey, this house on blank road has been empty since Sandy. As soon as we get the message, Debbie or myself, we can contact downstairs to Dan Newman or to one of the code enforcement officers, and they go out to do the inspection. And that's why they create the list, because I don't know whether or not it's the way it is. That's what their job is. They're the professionals. So they go out, they look, and then they add it to the list. So it's based on the whole town telling us where these places are. Yeah.
I'm going to follow it up because I see it differently.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public? Closed public? Business administrator?
I have nothing further, thank you.
Mayor?
Thank you. September, we have a lot of things going on in town. Very, very busy month. And I just want to go through it. It's for all types of people, whatever you enjoy. I want to go through the calendar real quick. September 5th from 9 to 1, we have a vendor fair at the VFW for senior citizens. There's all sorts of vendors that'll be there. And it's down on Adamston Road. It's down on Adamston Road. On September 6th, the next day, we have a green fair for all the environmentalists and those who want to learn about your environment. And that's from 10 to 2 at the Bob Anstett Cultural Arts Center at 515 Herbertsville Road. And there's going to be dozens of local green businesses and organizations on display. There's 49 that was signed up as of yesterday. Anybody into the performing arts, on Wednesday, September 10th at 7 o'clock, the Guild Theater Works presents A Night on Broadway. On September 11th, we have our remembrance ceremony for the September 11th victims here in Brick. That's at 6 o'clock. It's an annual candlelight vigil, and it's held at our Angel and Anguish Monument. September 13th for the kids. It's really for the adults at this point, but we're having our build-out day for our Kaboom grant. And as part of getting the grant to pay for our playground equipment for our all-access playground, we need to have a community day where the community comes out and helps actually build the playground. The professionals will be doing the cement and the, all the tightening of the screws and all, but we can help out by carrying things, helping them out with tools, bringing them water. That's what I'm qualified to do, is probably bring people water. I can't build a thing. But I'll be there. And it should be a great day, community day. There's going to be hot dogs. There's going to be things for the kids to do while the whole build-out day is going on. For any community-minded, Monday, September 15th, we have our annual BMAC golf outing. As everybody knows, Councilwoman Zapsik was instrumental in reorganizing our Brick Municipal Alliance Committee, which is a drug awareness program here in Brick. And we need a fundraiser to get that going, and it's Monday, September 15th at Eagle Ridge Golf Club. There's prizes and also sponsorship opportunities. Please contact my office to get involved. Another thing for kids is Kite Fest, Saturday, September 20th from 10 a.m. to 12 noon at Traders Cove Park. The very next day, for those dog lovers out there, September 21st, the Rotary Club has the Dog Fest at Windward Beach. Wednesday, September 24th, for seniors and everybody loves to dance, of all ages, Sentimental Journey Orchestra will be at the Civic Plaza on Wednesday, September 24th. September 27th, we have two things. The Reservoir turns 10 years old. There's going to be a ceremony to commemorate that and some other activities going on. It's out at the Reservoir at 9:30 in the morning. And then later, also on that day, is a town-wide yard sale and craft fair. And that is from 8 a.m. to noon at Windward Beach. And come find some bargains there and some interesting crafts. And lastly, last meeting was over at Normandy Beach, so we didn't have our normal videotaping capabilities, so our tape ran out. So I didn't say anything as far as Mayor Kelly, but we did have our flags at half staff here at Town Hall, as well as the purple and black bunting on our Town Hall from August 12th to the 19th. That's because of the passing of our former Mayor, Dan Kelly. He was a big asset to our town. He was the chairman of the planning board for many years and volunteered in many other ways around town. And he was also involved with St. Dominic's Church and being the sports leagues and being a coach. And he was also a father to 3 boys and a great husband, family man. So sorry to let everybody know, if they haven't heard already, that our former Mayor Dan Kelly has passed. And thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. I was crossing off on my list as things that you were saying.
Yeah, you ruined my speech, that's for
No,
sure.
Starkey. Nothing from me, thank you.
I'm done.
Councilman Moore? Sorry,
No, thanks.
Lynette, Jen? No. Councilman Moore?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Vice President. Couple of things. I can't believe that summer's coming to a closing. I'd like to thank you for everybody coming out this evening. As a first, I bring this up throughout the year, every once in a while. It was brought to my attention, house numbers. As a first responder, it's very critical for us to read your house numbers. So if you do have it on your mailbox, or you do have it on your house or on your curb, make it visible so our first responders can get to your house quickly, because every second counts. Also, I'd like to let the town know, and also my council members if they haven't heard, Ronnie Brain was one of our K-9 officers. He retired, but recently his canine partner, Eero, had passed away. So I just want everybody to know that he got on Brick PD 2007. He was our tracking dog, and he did quite a few tracking, and he will be missed. So to Ronnie Brain and his family, sorry about your loss. Our next meeting is September 9th. I can't believe our school's starting next week, so our children will be getting on the buses. So please be careful with our kids getting on the buses. Give courtesy to our bus drivers. And I'd like to thank my fellow council members and the mayor for a great summer fest. It was a great, all the shows were fantastic, and it was a great, big success. With that, thank you for your time, and have a good night and drive safe. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Dion.
Thank you. I just wanted to congratulate our CERT graduates, Ryan and Amy. Congrats. I also, Summerfest was some of our first ones up here, and I thoroughly enjoyed myself. I want to thank Glenn and the DPW crew. They did a great job of making sure Windward was cleaned afterwards. Danny and the rec department, they did a great job putting it all together, getting all the volunteers, all of that, getting all the 50/50s put together so we could help fund BMAC. And also to the chief and the police department. They did a fantastic job getting everybody parked, getting everybody in, getting everybody out, especially when it pours the last 5 minutes of the fireworks. But they did a thoroughly great job, and we appreciate up here all of their hard work because they make us look good. And also, for any of you that attended or heard anything, if you have any ideas or updates or anything that you would like to see at next year's Summerfest, we're starting to plan now, believe it or not. So let us know, let the administration know, let the council, or all of our emails are up on the website. We want to hear from you guys of what you want to see for next year. So please, we are already starting to plan that. So, and we look forward to hearing from you. So, thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman?
Thank you. I also want to congratulate Ryan and Amy, and I want to thank you for your dedication and commitment to the training, because it is rigorous and it's a huge commitment. Thank you for taking that on, and also for your service, for stepping up and volunteering and to serve the community. Thank you very much. One thing I want to add on to Councilwoman DeYoung's comments about Summerfest, I also want to thank Joanne, who was an absolute maniac selling glow necklaces and bracelets, which was our first BMAC fundraiser. Thank you very much. The mayor's comment about a night on Broadway, Wednesday, September 10th. That show will be at the Civic Plaza instead of the Bob Ansett Cultural Arts Center. And it is a $10 donation that includes dessert and coffee. There is far more seating available at the Civic Plaza, but I'd still advise you to call for a reservation at 732-262-1006. And then finally, I want to mention we all recently have participated in the Ice Bucket Challenge for ALS at various times. But it was brought to my attention that there is a young boy, an 8-year-old boy named Liam Marino in Brick Township, who was recently diagnosed with a brain tumor, and he is being treated at Children's Hospital. The Brick Township Soccer Association is challenging the Twin County Soccer Club, the Point Pleasant Soccer Club, and any Brick Township council members who haven't stepped up and gotten the ice to come out to Pinewood Park on Saturday, September 6th from 9 to noon. And this is open to the public, so anybody who would like who hasn't been iced, who would like to come, it's a $10 donation, and half of the money will go to the ALS Association, and the other half will go to Liam and his family and to fund pediatric cancer research. So I would encourage anyone who has some time on Saturday, September 6th, between 9 and noon, to stop by Pinewood Park and participate or make a donation to help this young man and his family. And that's all I have this evening.
Thank you very much. Councilman?
Thank you. I'd like to ditto what the mayor said first off. Congratulations to Amy and Ryan. Great job. Keep up the good work. The last meeting we had, we got cut off for the tape, but the mayor and I went to the Special Olympics ceremony where we gave out medals. It was very nice. So if you're thinking of doing something good for your town, maybe there's an organization you can volunteer with. It'll give you good feelings. Kudos to everybody involved in Summerfest. They did a great job. Also, at the last meeting, we had a resident come up and personally attack one of the employees of the township. This is not the environment or forum for that. There are avenues if you have a problem with someone to go through. This is not the avenue to do that. We're here to hear complaints on if you have something with the township, but not a personal attack on any employee. And I don't feel it's necessary, and it shouldn't happen in the future. And with that, that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman?
Thank you very much, Vice President Bosman. I want to talk about the heat wave that's coming up, specifically for our seniors. It is very important that our seniors are aware of the dangers of excessive heat, even when they're going grocery shopping. And I also want to use this as a moment to promote the Project Icebox. Anyone who's here tonight at the meeting probably got accosted by me and handed one of these to put on their refrigerator door. Contains all information about your next of kin, medication, and prescriptions that you're on, and a decal that goes on the window next to your door to alert EMS that this is on your refrigerator. And if you don't have a magnetic refrigerator, there's a magnetic strip, but if you don't have a magnetic, duct tape works. So please avail yourself of these Project Icebox. You can get them from Deb Welty, who's down on Adamston Road. You can also give her a phone call. She will set you up at the Brick Senior Center, 373 Adamston Road. Speaking of 373 Adamston Road, I just wanted to expand a little bit about what the mayor said about the Brick Senior Center Service Provider Fair. I want to make it clear that it's not just for the older people 60 plus, it's also for their caregivers, whether their caregivers be a neighbor, an adult child, an adult grandchild. They're invited to see. It's going to be all the local services that you can avail yourself of. So if you know someone who needs a caregiver, needs extra help, please come and see us at the fair. It's going to be Friday, September 5th from 9 till 1 o'clock. Also, I wanted to remind everyone, it is kitten season. We are overrun with kittens at this point of the year. Jersey Shore, don't laugh at that. This is important. Jersey Shore Animal Shelter is overwrought with kittens right now. So if you're thinking of adopting a kitten, now would be the best time. Rather than go to a breeder, please go to our local shelter. We do have a no-kill shelter. So it is important to support them. Congratulations to Ryan and Amy, and congratulations even more for staying for our entire council meeting,
Yes.
which should be recognized. I also just wanted to bring up one of the most amazing events that I think was part of Summerfest, and maybe the word didn't get out enough, was the National Night Out Against Crime and Kids Day celebration, where my family just had a blast. And if you don't know what that was, it was part of it was a graduation from the Law Explorers, so we got to see them graduate, and it was beautiful seeing that. They also had bouncy houses for free. They were giving away cotton candy, popcorn. My kids didn't know where to turn, look, and it was all free. So keep this in mind for next year when you hear about our Night Out Against Crime and Kids Celebration Day. Please come out. It was by far my favorite thing that we did all summer, and it didn't cost a dime. So please come out. Just last, I wanted to acknowledge that, yes, Windward Beach, we have our park open. Everybody knows. Everyone has been asking about the other parks in our area. We do have plans of renovations for Lake Riviera, for Colorado Park, for Angela Hibbert Park. These are all underway. These are things that we're actively working on the Recreation Committee. So these are things that we're doing. So we haven't just stopped with Windward Beach. Everyone keeps saying, what about my park? Those three parks are the ones that we're going to be working on, and apart from that, have a wonderful night. And remember, the heat is important. Keep an eye on your elderly neighbors, keep an eye on your elderly parents, and remind them to stay inside if at all possible. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I just have a few reports, a recycling report. I read this before, and I do have copies of it for anybody that would like a copy of it. In 2014, recycling revenue from January till June of 2014, electronics that were brought to the Hill were $6,250 we received for that. Metal at the Hill, we received $41,878. That includes the curbside pickup, because they go out and they pick up, if you put stuff out there, they'll go out there and pick up the metal, then they'll send another truck out there to go pick up the wood and everything else. So this town does do quite a bit to work with the residents and keeping the town clean like that. Ocean County 2013 Recycling Revenue Shared Service. This is from the county. From January to June of 2013, we received $24,000. And that was at 17 cents. The rate has dropped to 7 cents since then. So it's from July to December of 2013, we got $56,000, and that's when we started our recycling program. And if we would have had the 17 cents, it would have been another $65,000 more, but they dropped the money, so we lost that much money because of the market. But in our last meeting, the money did go up to 12 cents, as I was talking to Mr. Campbell, the director. He said it goes by the market fluctuation. Savings on the landfill in January to June of 2014, a savings of not taking it to the landfill was $135,000 we saved by not bringing it to the landfill. So our total revenue for that time is $200,000. So we would have made more money if it would have stayed at 17 cents, obviously, for the recycling and everything else. So we did quite well. And we did have a recent meeting, and we're going out to all the schools, and we're going to go to the 5th grade classes in the auditoriums, and we're going to do a presentation on the recycling, just to, with the children, just to let them know how to recycle. And we're also going to do from the watershed. The watershed committee from the Bricktown MUA is going to go there with them, and also do a presentation on our waterways. And what they can do to keep the water clean. Just a little reminder of what not to put into your recycling bins, because we get plastic bags are the enemy. So don't put in plastic bags in your recycling. That's one of the bad things. You got butter and margarine tubs. They're no good. Don't put them in your recycling. Yogurt containers, no good. K-cups and smaller containers, no good. Fast food and restaurant containers, don't put it in your recycling. Bottle caps, jar lids, don't put them in there. Also, the gray chipboard items such as cereal boxes and gift boxes, tissue boxes, they don't recycle either. Flower pots, toys, plastic grocery bags are our enemy. If we get a hot load, we have to take it back to the Public Works, empty it out, and clean it up before we bring it back to Ocean County if they reject it. So we've got to be careful what we put in there. Just to let you know, what we can put in there is aluminum cans, steel cans, tin cans, empty aerosol cans, newspapers, mixed papers, junk mail, magazines, catalogs, and corrugated cardboard. That's the thicker cardboard. You can put that in there. I just want to let everybody know that. September 9th, the Brick Township Municipal Utilities Authority is going to come here and do a presentation on the Metedeconk River watershed restoration presentation on projects to protect the waterways. We are doing several projects at the MUA, and it's all along the Metedeconk River, and they're going to do a presentation here to let you know what basins they're doing and everything, so we can try to protect the waterways before it gets to the Forge Pond. There's going to be a green fair. The township's going to be at the green fair on September 6th, and also the MUA is going to do a demonstration there also for that. Schools, as I mentioned before, the BTMUA Watershed Committee, along with the Recycling Coordinator, Public Works, will be going to the schools to educate the students. And just to let everybody know, the MUA for the passing of Mayor Kelly did fly their flags at half-staff, and also the Housing Authority in Brick Township also flew their flags at half-staff. received a letter from, to the mayor and the council on a thank you letter for, people were coming here to experience some, their own problems with their permits and they came down here to the township and the building department really helped them out and they sent a really nice letter here. And the two people that they noted that really helped them was Nicole Ponzi and Christopher Romano. They both helped out really well, and they sent a nice letter here saying how pleasant they were and how helpful they were down the township. On September 11th is a remembrance service. It will take place Thursday, September 11th at 6 p.m. alongside the Angel of Anguish Monument in Windward Beach. Just to let everybody know, it's the 13th anniversary of this tragic event. That's all I have for this evening. Thank you.
Can I just supplement my comments, because I left out something important?
Sure, you may.
Thank
Go
you.
ahead.
I just noticed the glaring absence of Nan Collier tonight, and I'm hoping that she's fine and everything's fine. So if Nan is watching, which I'm sure she is, we did miss you, Ann.
She did send a letter to my office saying she wouldn't be here.
Oh.
An email. No, she
Thanks,
literally
Nan.
did.
Right,
Yeah.
thank you.
It's not the same.
It's not the same without her. No, it's not.
Thankfully, we didn't need a tiebreaker.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.